I have a big project planned to build a bike with what I have. I wanted to film it and I needed some contraption to attach my mobile phone camera to a tripod. Something like this. But where do I get one? Oh wait, I know FreeCAD and I have a 3D printer. Let me show you how I made this attachment. I've started out with the phone clips that I had used in my previous phone holders. To allow for different phone thickness, I used those shims. Their thickness will be determined in a slicer while preparing the print. I will have one that is 1 mm thick, 2 mm thick and 4 mm thick, giving me all values between 1 and 7 with 1 mm step. And for thicker phones I had already something else in mind. In FreeCAD I've created a sketch and drawn a half of the base shape. I'm using parametric design, thus all the dimensions are defined in a spreadsheet and then referenced in model. Since it's not the release candidate version of FreeCAD, I'm using datum planes to avoid the problems with sketch attachments. I there place the pockets for the mounting holes, and again all dimensions are defined in spreadsheets and referenced in the model. I quickly added some recess for the nuts and mirrored the whole shape. Why draw it twice when you can mirror? Add some chamfers for a finish-like effect and we're off with the last detail. I define a through hole with thread that will accommodate the 3/8 inch bolt that basically each tripod has. And perhaps you've noticed that this shape is horizontally symmetric. If a part of the thread gets worn out, I can always flip it and use the other part of the thread. Once all the design is complete, let's export the parts and move to Slicer. There I've imported all the necessary parts, multiplied the instances for the correct amount and, as mentioned earlier, defined the thickness of the shims. Arrange the location, slice it and check whether everything seems reasonable for the print. I printed on my trusty Ender 3 that an old colleague of mine gave me a while ago. Thanks again. You can notice some stringing, but don't worry, later on I've made some upgrades and calibration to my printer and stringing is now gone. Now let's assemble. I can stack up the shims to accommodate various thickness of the phone, and if the distance of 7mm is not enough, the base side parts are 8mm thick. So if you put the clips around them, the distance can be even bigger. And with the shims, again in 1mm increments, it's up to 15mm. Let's measure if my phone fits. No, the spacing is slightly too tight. I'll add a 1mm shim in between. With this design, you can't adjust it on the fly, but if you are using one dedicated phone for filming, you are good. And how does it fit the tripod? Have a look, it fits like a glove. But it turned out that I might don't need this thing at all. When visiting my local flea market, I found this little thingy, a full HD camcorder that already fits on a tripod. With a fully swiveling screen and a 40x optical zoom, I simply couldn't go past it, especially that the seller asked only a couple of euros for it. And I can tell you this camcorder has already proven itself useful. If you want to learn more about design in FreeCAD, stay tuned. I'm planning an instructional video on how I prepare my designs. Thanks for watching.